Good evening, America. This is your Silver Sun speaking, Jonathon, on the 9th of April, 2021. We have arrived in a new era, a new epoch. Many have turned around to go their own way. Many will turn around to go back to where they came from. That seems the main mode of operation for many travelers on their sojourn, to turn around and go back to where they came from. My time in space, as space is Jesus, led me to believe that there is a home out here for me. Somewhere. Out here. Out there. The mind boggles as I contemplate and deal with the invisible stealth framework that makes this country function. This invisible stealth framework operates today as it operated millennia ago. In our past, that is ancient history. Before man, before civilization, before the earth appeared, it existed. What is up, as above, as below, as some people say. What I'm referring to are the heavens. And since the beginning of creation, it has existed. Before modern man, before ancient Egypt, before Abraham, it existed. So, are the colors, the races of men, are they going to bleed into one? Will they? Can they? Won't they? I wish to bring a son or a daughter of God into this world. The blood of a Puritan, the mind of an angel, the heart of a lion, and the spirit of a prayer warrior. I look to her for companionship. I look to her for comfort. For she has clothed me, kept food in my belly, and a roof over my head. Her. Going against my own inclinations, my own passionate love affair with women, certain types of women. I crave and need and wish to bond with the black power of her. So back to the experiment that we're all stuck in. This experiment has been going on since Abraham. 6,000 years. The longest line. And here I am. Back in the days of the ancients, the days of Abraham, all it was astrals, astral planes with astral bodies. In the story of Abraham, one of them in his tribe speaks up and says, "There is no land, there is no God." And with the birth of Isaac and Jacob, terra firma land surfaced, rose out of the waters, and it was good. Land had been created. Just like in the European scientist community, they wish to figure out how the Big Bang created mass, created land from nothing. That is their purpose, that is their mission, that is which they want to know how. How did it happen? People can't rationalize the creation of the order, the hierarchical order of men without a story that tells how. Well, this supreme being, this supreme one God of all that is, ever was, and will be, created creation. That happened after the heavens bloomed into life, light and spectacular color, and all that shit. So the tech existed from the beginning. Heaven has always been in my life, in the lives of prophets, in the lives of saints and apostles, to keep it real, in an effort to make it real. Everyone loves drama, but they don't like drama queens. The tech has always been there. The supercomputer, the networks, the links, the skipping and teleporting and beaming people from one place to another through connections and threads. Today, for example, in a psychology session with my psychologist, a short person, Ian, he put my naivete, and my ignorance on display for all to see. When a car appeared out of nowhere behind my back, I replay this back and forth in my mind, and I noticed how the car didn't start. It just appeared and was already idling in neutral before it was put into drive and came forward into my vision. And I had a meeting of minds with certain angelic darksiders who specifically said to me, do not acknowledge what you're seeing right now. Dismiss it, Jonathon. No. I must be alert. I must be as conscious as to break down the barriers that are keeping me in the prison of my own body. So let's go back to Babylon. A civilization with tech, the Babylonians. One of the ancient wonders of the world was the goddess of Babylon. It had tech. They knew how to do things that we don't know how to do today. The tech was never reinvented, so certain facets to the ancient world have been lost over time. Technological feats have not been reinvented. They existed from the beginning. So Babylon came along, they had their citadels, they had their fortresses, and they had their sky god. And within the sky god were probably situated on a pad. And there, on Astral, they established their principality. It was the ziggurat that helped people go from one plane, astral plane, to another. And it worked. It was bridging the great divide between the heavens and the earth. But this heaven, the cosmological beginnings, were in slavery, and every malcontent that is derided from slavery, you bet they're charged with those crimes on humanity, on people who can barely see the light of day. Them, slaves. So today, some Polly in Canberra thought it'd be a smart aleck and beamed a van into my location as it appeared in my vision unmistakably happen, I've always wondered about that. And now I know it's possible. So now all these instances where I've caught up with friends, say, I didn't detect you, I didn't see you, I didn't see you driving down the M1, the freeway. How did you get here so quick? What's going on? Give me an answer. And then, now I know. Now I know that a connection and a thread can beam a car from one point to another. What if it was a man on a horse? What if it was the apostles? Jesus apparently had been lost to India during his lost years. This explains how he traveled so far in such a short time frame. So, today, it exists. Millenniums ago, it existed. From the creation, it existed. The supercomputer of the mind of God has existed since its creation. So if cars can beam, if people can beam, what about if it was what if you could beam up a massive shipping container? Not the container, the ship itself contains all these containers, and just move it to one part of the map, beam it back down. Because this was happening during the Cold War in the early 60s with JFK. Ships were going missing off the map and reappearing somewhere else. This is my my secret knowledge talking about these types of events. And because JFK had the holographic orb, a microcosm, a micro reflection of the world as it is in its entirety, in a micro state, he was detecting these types of events going on off the coast in the Atlantic, near Cuba, and he's asking his admirals, his generals, going, "What the is going on out there?" So let's think if something like the Philadelphia experiment could happen. It has to have a dome, a bubble over it. Then you can beam from one bubble or dome to another and replicate the same situation in a scientific sense. You could beam someone from one bubble, one dome to another dome, and beam it. And this could be this could work with shipping containers. It could work with it depends on how big the dome is and how I mean, I'm not fluent in futuristics, technological feats, but I know it goes back to the Philadelphia experiment, and I know it has something to do with domes. So you could go from one dome to another. So furthermore, I would like to point out that that my future is clouded in threats, intimidation, and more of the same rubbish that I've experienced for the past 16 years. These futuristic cops who are working for Trump, ASIO, Pollies in Parliament, Stasi, they wish to take things further. And because a creator who was bedded in my psyche removed several layers of flesh and tissue inside my throat, near my larynx, that goes down to my esophagus, I believe he may have grafted on some cancer cells in order for it to turn cancerous. So next Tuesday, today's Friday, the 9th, I'll be going to a place to get a CT scan for my throat to get checked out. He was working for the Pope. I sometimes, when the Pope is visiting, give him off bad vibes, bad karma, hexes, abuse, dicks in the face, that type of thing. Trying to make me gay, wishing I would want it in the ass, turn me into a swallower, not a spitter. He says that will do it. This guy will get cancer if you do that. So he does it. He's now left. I don't have the operation records to delete these records and pulse through my timeline to get my throat back in working order. My throat is constantly highly strung every time I wake up in the morning. It's like, oh, I can't believe I'm talking like this, or why am I so, what's going on here? Obviously, I am supposed to be some example, and this is post after every died of cancer in the past 20, 30 years. This is how people contract cancer in the future. Yes, you can contract cancer. It's possible. I will be living proof of that. It's gonna happen. But you're not gonna get away with it. People are gonna know who did it. There's gonna be consequences and actions for your actions. If I get throat cancer, the Pope is held responsible. Pope Francis. So, after one revelation after another, I've come to the understanding that me, Jonathon, who was a prince under King Solomon, and who was also in Jesus' plan, 0 degrees of separation, close to the source. The name is Hebrew. I would like to live a full life. Four to five score and 7 years old. I'd like to be. But I'm not going to. And because my integral job is to keep the system together under law and order. That's one of my jobs. To abide and live by example. But we have many gays, many lesbians of LGBTQI+ working for them. This story you're looking at now is us versus them. It's an us versus them story. And we don't have the numbers. I am fighting against people who are crazy. 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 They are crazy. And bored out of their brains, obviously. This is not what life is about. Yes, you were raised to fight. Yes, you were raised to win. But you don't do this with someone who has been born in heaven and who spent 3 years inside a hellish underworld named Solaris. 3 years. The same amount of time that Jonah spent in the whale. 3 days. Which is 3 years on earth, and it's 3 days in heaven. Because as Easter has just passed, we talked about how Jesus, the original gangster from earth, who is the greatest of greats, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, who got the job done and who died for all of us. He said the Bible, the original gangster Jesus, he said, Jonah